Hello, and welcome to another video. Today, I'll be showing you what I played in the Secrets of Strixhaven Prerelease. At the game store I play at, they distribute the kits randomly, and then you can trade with other players if you want. But I was given Witherbloom, which I was really happy about. Witherbloom was probably like in my top 2 for kits that I wanted, so I was pretty stoked to get this one. And I did end up building a Witherbloom deck. So I'll show you the deck that I played. We can look at the cards that I opened but didn't play. And then at the end, we can open up the prize packs I won. Let's get right into it. Alright. So first I'm just going to take a moment to unsleeve the deck and lay it all out for you. Alright. So here is the deck that I played, minus the basic land. In this I played 16 land, because I thought the curve was low enough to warrant that. There was just one 5-mana creature, a couple 4-mana things. Witherbloom, of course, costs 8, but with all of these low-cost creatures, the hope is that I could get the cost down pretty significantly. So, yeah. And, I did still manage to flood a few times, unfortunately. With this, I only went 1 and 2. I beat the Witherbloom mirror match, and then lost against 2 Lorehold decks. So that was a bit of a bummer, but let's go through these a bit more closely, and I'll talk about my thoughts on them. So, starting off with the 1-mana cards and the land. I really liked having Studious First Year. I enjoyed seeing it in my opening hand. Really made me feel like I had turns 1 and 2 locked up already. Helps to smooth out mana if I was missing a swamp. A cheap creature that contributes to making Witherbloom cost less. Not great if you draw it late game, but perfectly good for a common, and I would run it again. Giant growth. I mean, can we just take a moment for the art on this one? So cute. But yeah, a fine combat trick. I don't know if I would really run it every time, but in this deck, most of the creatures are pretty small, so this ended up being kind of important to ensure they could survive some combat. Wild Hypothesis. I do appreciate that you surveil 2 even if X is 0. This scales really nicely, and could end up being one of the larger creatures in my deck if needed. But I didn't feel bad about making a 3/3 off of this or something like that either. And then Titan's Grave. I never activated this, but I appreciated that it was there. Looking at the 2-mana creatures, I really liked these 2. They did a lot to enable little bits of life gain early on in the game. I also thought they went really well together, as the Teacher's Pest could continuously return itself from the graveyard, and the Lumerette triggers whenever a creature enters. So I liked that. A 2-mana Death Touch Mana Dork is great. Environmental Scientist goes and finds a land. Again, is good early on, but not so great if you play it late. But it's hard to deny a 2-mana 2/2 with upside. I feel similarly about the Melancholic Poet. This deck is obviously not optimized for this guy, but once in a while it would trigger, and that's good enough for me. And Infirmary Healer was surprisingly useful. It's a 2-mana 2/3, which is really good at stopping early attacks. And then I didn't really think much of its life gain spell, but it did come in handy once in a while to stabilize me or enable me to cast a spell that costs life, or just trigger things that benefit from gaining life. I only wish that it was an instant instead of a sorcery, but can't have it all, I suppose. Looking at the 2-mana non-creature spells. I also had a Witherbloom charm, but I traded that at the end of the event, so I'll be sure to insert one here. But I did get some good use out of that, both from the card draw ability and the removal ability. Having to sacrifice a creature to it wasn't too painful, with things like the Teacher's Pest or Studious First Year. And there's plenty of threatening creatures that cost 2 or less that you can get with it, so I liked that. Last Gasp and Bitter Triumph were both great removal. Comforting Counsel, though, was not good at all. I had a suspicion that might be the case, but I did want to give it a try at least. I had plenty of life gain in the deck that I thought maybe I could get 5 counters on it, because giving my creatures +3/+3 would be a really good upgrade for them, again since they are all pretty small. But I think the highest I ever got it was 3, because either I didn't have it early enough, or if I did, I wanted to be casting creatures instead of a do-nothing enchantment. So I experimented, and I learned I do not recommend. Moving on to the 3-mana spells. I thought the pest mascots were fine. Goes really well with the Teacher's Pest and Bogwater Moomerant. Sometimes you do want to pay attention to your sequencing, or might have to cast this pre-combat, but getting that first counter on it can happen pretty quickly. Shopkeeper's Bane, fine. It might gain you a little bit of life, and it demands to be dealt with. It probably won't stick around too long, but there's certainly worse things you can do with 3 mana. Grapple with Death is sorcery speed removal that gains you life. I like that. Cost of Brilliance is some card draw at the expense of life, but with all of your life gain, it shouldn't really matter or be too detrimental. And then it puts a +1/+1 counter on a creature, so that's nice. And then Dina's Guidance, an instant speed creature tutor. I was really thinking of this as just another copy of Witherbloom in my deck. Just cast this on my opponent's end step, search up Witherbloom and cast it on my turn. So that was really good. and then everything else. We've got Wander Off, 4 mana instant to exile a creature. I thought that was great. Cheerful Osteomancer. This was the only way I really had to return stuff from my graveyard, so I wish I had more of this. Having only 2 toughness was kinda tough, but I still enjoyed this card. Tenured Concoctor I thought was really good. Had among the highest toughness of my creatures, and could get up to 6 power, which I loved. And then Witherbloom. Really, really good if I could get it to stick around. Of course, a 5/5 Flying Death Touch was great. Giving my instants and sorceries affinity for creatures was super good. I could easily cast multiple things per turn. But where it really fell short, I guess, was my inability to protect it. So for my opponents, this was obviously just kill on sight, and oftentimes they did. There wasn't a whole lot I could do about that, aside from this one spell. But that is everything that I played. And we can quickly take a look at everything that I didn't play. We don't have to spend too much time on the non-Witherbloom stuff, since the seeded pack really slants you so much toward your chosen school, so we can just see what there was, and then open up the prize packs. Alright. For the cards that I could have run but didn't, in black we had Sneering Shade Rider. Maybe I should have run this card, but I thought 5 mana was a bit too expensive for me. Masterful Flourish, I don't really feel too strongly about. And maybe there's a case for Pull from the Grave. It does gain life and get something back out of the graveyard, but I guess I was worried about most of my creatures not really being worth it, aside from, like, Witherbloom. But, like, would returning a 2/2 really be worth it for this? I don't really think so. For green, I guess there was a lot that I didn't play. We had 2 modal spells. These were good for sideboarding, but didn't see them very often. Maybe I could have been playing Efflorescence to help upgrade the creatures that I had. Probably would have done more than that green enchantment I was playing. Planar Engineering I thought looked pretty bad, and didn't feel too strongly about anything else that was here. And then for multicolored and colorless, I had another Teacher's Pest, but didn't want to have too many 1/1s. Essence Knit Scholar I was really close to running, but I was deterred by it having only 1 toughness, and I did have other ways to draw cards in the deck, so I felt okay without it. Honestly, maybe I should have run Biblioplex Tomekeeper. Being able to prepare again my creature that could return a card from the graveyard would have been really good. This one I thought about. I think it's a good mana sink, even if you can't get that many counters on it. So, again, maybe I really should have been running this one. Looking at the white, definitely some good stuff here in the 1 mana slot. But, yeah, didn't look at this too closely, knowing that I probably wouldn't be able to run it. I mean, black would have been a way to bridge into white if needed, but nothing strong enough here for me to want to do that. I actually had a decent amount of blue. I was really excited to see the stock up in here. I kind of thought about trying to run it, knowing that green would have been our pathway into blue. But laying out all of the Witherbloom cards that I had, I didn't really feel like I had enough room for another color in there. For red, I think there was pretty much no chance we were going to run any of this, but it was exciting to see the capstone in here. And then for multicolored, no Prismari cards, which was a little weird. And no way we could really run Lorehold. Wasn't too enticed by Quandrix stuff, though that arthropod looks pretty cool. And then for Silverquill, maybe I could have tried to run Silverquill Charm. I think it's probably one of the better charms, but I don't know. Let's lastly take a look at the non-basic land, and then open up the prize packs. This one was my promo card. And then, yeah, maybe these forums could have allowed me to splash into white, but I don't want to slow down my mana base too much. But yeah, that is everything I opened in my sealed deck. Let's finish out by opening up my prize packs. So for my 1 and 2 record, I got 2 prize packs. Let's see what we get. We've got Quick Study, Goblin Glasswright, Shopkeeper's Bane, Pull from the Grave, Page Looseleaf, Fractal Mascot, Fractalize, Strixhaven Sky Coach, Root Manipulation, Primary Research, the rare is Joined Researchers with Secret Rendezvous, ooh, we've got Monstrous Rage as our Mystical Archive card. A foil Daydream, a Mountain, an Inkling token, and a Spirit token. For this pack, we've got an Owlin Historian, Procrastinate, Zealous Lorecaster, Oracle's Restoration. Whoa, that looks wild. Send in the Pest, Embrace the Paradox, Colonian Tackle, Lorehold Charm, a Leech Collector, Stress Dream. Oh, cool. The rare is a Mana Sculpt. Another Giant Growth as our Mystical Archive card. A foil Quillblade Laureate. A Swamp. An Elemental token. And a Treasure token. And there we have it. Thank you so much for joining me today for a look around my pre-release deck from Secrets of Strixhaven. If you went out and played in a pre-release, I would love to hear about how it went for you. Tell me all about the deck that you played and your matchups. any favorite cards that you opened, and we can talk about it down in the comments. And as always, please make sure you hit that like button, and please consider subscribing if you haven't already. I put out new Magic the Gathering ASMR videos every Monday and Friday. I truly appreciate all of your support, and I hope you have a wonderful day.